Full screen mode. So a couple of things that I want to do in the Canvas. So I'll just go to Seattle Central. It's easier for me than remembering the address for Canvas. Or you can close the door. I'll let anybody in.
Oh, damn. Okay, good. No, it's funny.
Yeah.
I know. But we can say anything about his voice.
Well, you could, but.
Wait, was that a pun at me?
Yes, my boyfriend and I have noise too.
I think I knew your voice before I knew you.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
So one of these tutorials, wish I could see the whole thing, but I think this one. Yeah, I think it's this one, multidimensional modeling. Is kind of this, covers a lot of what we're going to do and more. So if you want to expand, go beyond what we're doing, it has a lot of the stuff in there. Okay, that was the main one thing I really wanted to show you in there. I think that's all. It's hard to tell. I think it was the first one or the second one of them in there. There's three of them in there. They're all pretty much related to the multidimensional modeling. So one of the things, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get the data, SQL Server data tools. We want to run it as administrator. Do we want to revisit what we already did at all?
Yeah, maybe that's helpful.
You got all green check marks.
Yeah, if you got it all green check marks and if everything is populated, then the only thing we didn't do is we didn't deploy it, which really doesn't matter too much for what we're doing.
Okay.
But if we wanted to like run it regularly, you would want to deploy it so that you could attach it to a schedule and have it run periodically.
Needs some sort of proof that it did populate.
What we could do, I mean, the way to probably prove that it populated, which would not be a bad thing, because we do need this too, is to get the SQL Server Management Studio up. This is a dumb way to look for it, but there it is. The one thing I did this weekend, which is dumb, but I did do it. I forced Windows 10 to install. Still wasn't my turn, but I forced it.
Is it all you'd hope for?
Well, I've played with it some. I like and don't like it. It's sort of a mix.
I don't know. Chris really likes it, which I didn't take him for such a
Windows
Microsoft,
Yeah.
proponent. But you know, I don't know. I guess we can.
So we need to run it first.
Well, so I'm going to do, this one doesn't have to be run as admin. Partially, I was just going to do a real quick check to see that we have data. And then there's one other thing we need to do in here, which I always forget about until later when things don't work. So if we do it now, they'll work later. But first, let's just check and see. So I'm going to do use Metro Alt DW. So I'll just run that. And then I'm going to do select star from employee dim, or dim employee rather. And if things have been populated, you will have employees in there. So we could do from dim route. And it has 126 rows. It's about the right number of routes. Excuse me. Something is getting my allergies today. So if we do, I'll do dim bus real quickly.
My Alta DW meetings.
No, you log into, yeah.
A lot of,
Disconnect from that.
I was originally connected to
You're in the wrong one.
the wrong server, and you might be too.
That just happened to me.
Because we did that last time for the log stripping.
Oh, that's right. Sure, this is the one.
So bus
Yeah.
schedule assignment, this is one of the biggies. It has 365,690 rows.
No.
This one.
Which one is it?
And then dim date, and that's actually, so this, you know, it has, now these should be unique, which is where yours was going wrong, and I'm not sure where in the method. I mean, each row, each date should be unique, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And then the last is select star from fact bus schedule. And that should have about 365,000 rows too. Yeah, same number. So my database at least is populated. If you got all greens, it should be populated. Okay, and once we've run that and it worked, right, it should run, you can repopulate this anytime. It'll empty it out and put the new data there every time you run it. Now, the thing that we have to do before we do this is in Metro Alt DW under security, we need to add a new user. And what this user is kind of depends on what you'd said when you installed SQL Server. We assigned the analysis services to the local service provider, right? You could, and in fact, better practice would have been to create a special account for them. But we just used that because it was easy at the time. So what we need is a new user. And it's not a SQL user, it's a Windows user. And the username, we can click on this, and I think if we do local and check names, it'll give us local service. You need me to go back and do it again? All right, so cancel. So users, new user. It's a Windows user, which I missed. And then I just click the 3 dots. I did, in fact, we could do local service. And if we check names, it finds it. We can do OK. The login name is the same,
Windows. Click, just click.
Oh, this one.
which if you want, you can do.
Yeah. Check in local. Check the name.
I think,
Local service.
let me look. It should be there. Did I spell local service wrong? So let me browse. NT authority. Do we have to make it a? Maybe we need to add it as a login first. Should be there though. Okay. let's cancel this and go to logins. So security down below, logins, new login.
Wait, where'd you get that? Security down below, oh, the down.
Down, yeah, not in any
New
database.
login,
Right, new
Okay.
login. Windows authentication. Weird. Anyway, because I thought I'd set my server. Well, I guess I can do both here. So we want to do search. We should be able to do local service. I'm pretty sure this is what we did. Okay. Okay. Do we need to do anything with it? I think that's enough. Okay. And then go back to the security for DW. Do you need a zoom on this? So it's up on Metro Alt DW. It has every database has its own security folder as well. And under users, we'll do the new user. Windows user.
Did you do one more local service or two?
And then should be able to find it here now. Now, I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, I mean, this is what it was at home and in my office. Default schema we can ignore, but we do want to go to membership, and we want to make them a data reader. Basically, the analysis services run under a different user. And we didn't create a user specifically for it. We just said use local service when we installed. At least that's what I recall doing. If this fails, we could figure out what user it is by going into the SQL Server config and looking for what is associated with it. But I'm pretty sure that's what we did. Okay, so with that in there, we should be able to run without pausing. Usually it fails, and it fails because it doesn't have permission. So what I did, again, just to go through the whole process real quickly, I added a user, a login for the local service. I'm a little surprised it wasn't there, which is why I'm a tiny bit worried. And then I went to the users, and I added the same service, NT Authority local service, and I gave it read permissions on the database. Just generic read permissions.
And that's under the users.
That's under the users, right? So if you do the properties here and go to membership, I made them a member of DB Data Reader, and I'll get you guys set up. So, okay. So everybody's got that?
So you go to this one.
No, did you give it read permissions for that user?
I think so.
So yeah, all you have to do is add them to the group DB Reader.
And at the users, right? On the top.
At the user level,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Okay, so we're going to make a new project unless you really want to see the SSIS one again.
Ownership.
So a new project.
So, okay, so you
Here, I
can
mean,
use it.
right, yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, we're in the data tool.
I don't know, I just knew.
Cancel.
Oh,
Is
here,
this the user you need?
yeah.
You're running, yeah.
I've been running this.
And then the members.
I've been running since the
And then
Yeah, that's
I did it.
Oh,
okay.
must have taken much RAM.
And then now you project to the.
So instead of an integration service, we want an analysis service, and we want the multi-dimensional business intelligence. I was going to try to expand that a little. I don't want the wizard, so I think it's the first one. And we should give it a name. Um, so maybe Metro Alt DW BA, business analysis, whatever. At home, I have 2, 3, 4, and 5 of these. So, so I'm going to do okay. You guys with me so far? Okay, so in the Solution Explorer on this, you'll see that there are multiple folders, and these are things that you can go through and add stuff to. You don't have it?
No, it asked me to close the other SSIS.
Right, so you want to do a new one, not SSIS.
No, I opened the other one. I did that whole step, but it asked me to close my other.
Well, you might actually be okay. What is the name? This is Metro Alt. So just over here, what you need is the view.
You, okay.
And you want the Solution Explorer.
Okay. Oh, okay,
It's working now?
Oh.
Yeah,
I think you could see that.
so just stop.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't know which one goes.
So first go down here to security. Just security first.
Yeah, she's been asking.
It's fine.
But they're so different than it.
Do a new login.
Yeah, very different. It's kind of for free for the dog.
Actually,
It's
it's-
those good.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
Yeah, so she got one of them
Oh.
out there. So I know that's.
Yeah, that one is like, you know, make it a doll, it might be dangerous.
No,
You know, some consider it like glass or
You
something.
want,
Those one is
Yeah.
kind of like, you know, cushiony.
Mhm.
So I'm saying like, this is maybe safe.
you want it, your Windows authentication.
It's funny that her
You want it
favorite
to be
toy, so.
use search.
Her
Do
cousin,
normal search.
her parents got her a bunch of gifts to open for
Do okay.
jealousy.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, Graham's mom got her some gifts. And one of the gifts that
And then, that's all you do.
she didn't want. She was like, oh, here's a little baby doll.
And then go to, security update.
So
Wait, who do you want it?
the cousin, Jenna, she's been obsessed with it. Why is this here next to
You
me?
want to,
She
see the
wants
Windows
it.
login.
It was bigger than her.
Oh,
But we didn't tell her she didn't want it. It was like, oh, maybe she's like,
Use
oh,
one.
that's like her
There's,
favorite thing.
You could do
I think
search.
more you can get it. I think
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how the kids works. It's so funny. She loved the
Do open
drill
source.
well, nose well.
May not appear, you might have to do it on the TV.
It's kind of neat. So
Let's
it's
just do
like
it.
like it's-
She got to swim in the pool yesterday. She bought that.
Oh my God,
Watch
it's
See
it.
if
doesn't
they
pull.
can.
I don't
I think so. It's not.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
but it's kind of soft.
Mhm.
This is kind of good.
That doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Go to membership.
She loves
Do data reader.
Wow.
We're going down to my mom's house in a few weeks.
You gotta do this
Ready?
with
To my mom's house. What kind of birthday cake is it?
All right, so what we need to do is kind of work through these folders. So I am going to make a new data source. Gives me a little wizard. Now it has whole bunches of them. If you have Metro Alt DW, you should have. That's the one we want.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you just go next. And this is where we want to use the service account.
Use this.
Use the service account. Now, as long as I got the right service account, we'll be okay. Did you not? So you choose the DW and then service account. And then
Okay.
basically we just finish and we'll have, we have our data source. Then we're going to get our data source view. And again, I'm just going to right click on that, new data source view. It has a little wizard. They all have little wizards and I don't know the way around them. So we have that. We're going to do next. And basically what it does is it gives us all of our tables.
Oh, wow.
We don't need the sys diagram. All right, so all the others except that one we do want. So I'm just going to bring them over by clicking the little arrow, the little triangle. This brings them all over. So if you prefer, you can bring them all over and then knock six diagrams back.
Mine doesn't have this diagram.
Go, so DW, do next. This one. I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna just do finish. And then do a new data source.
I'll put that to the table.
Sys diagrams doesn't matter, but,
Yeah, the view.
so add everything except,
Data source.
yeah.
It's not.
The only thing you don't need to add is the diagram.
Yeah,
Also, we want the view.
No, he doesn't have a view in there. We have a view
Yeah, he's
fact
got-
table. He doesn't have it in there.
I don't remember making a view in there, but that's okay.
Yeah, so you don't need it.
You don't have to
Just
system,
a
right?
schedule, data, employee.
But bring all the
That's
rest.
it.
Sure.
So I'm just going to do next and then finish.
You didn't have
Cool.
a big table.
And it gives me, a little diagram here of the data view.
So nice.
I know.
Before I do the cube, though, I think I'm going to do dimensions. I'm trying to remember if I want to do the dimensions first or the cube. So you guys with me so far?
Yeah.
Most of this stuff is pretty simple in a way because they've set it up for you to be. Now, the part that was driving me nuts is that if you stop and you think you have your dimensions here, because we designed them to be there, you can't get any hierarchies, which means you can't do anything in the cube.
Oh.
So what we have to do is create new dimensions based on these dimensions. These will be the source for the dimensions that we create. Seems like an extra step. But until I did that, I couldn't get any kind of meaningful analysis out of the cube. So I'm going to right click and say new dimension. And I do next, and I'm going to I don't want to generate a table. I think I'm going to use an existing table. So if we do dim bus, that looks okay. Can we select the rest of these? We can select all of these.
What would you select for the main table?
So far, we'll see if this works first, but what I did is it came up with bus at the top. I'm going to use an existing table. I'm basing it on the bus. I want to know what the key column is. I listed all of these. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is what I want to do, but let's finish. And I think I can create a hierarchy. So we have the bus key. Bus purchase date would be a hierarchy.
How'd you do that? You tried it?
I just drag it. You know, bus type, capacity, purchase price. I'm not sure we need these because we're not analyzing the bus particularly, but
Mine won't.
Let me go forward.
I'm wondering about the warning here. I'm curious. The bus, it doesn't matter much. Let's leave it for right now. I'm going to try something different in the next one. I did this at home, but I'm trying to remember. I wonder if I shouldn't have checked all those boxes. So I'm going to do a new dimension. Generated on an existing table. No template. So I actually want to use an existing table. I don't want bus this time. Let's do employee. Got it? Next. What I'm wondering,
So do you want to just fix some?
oh, you know what I think I did? So I want probably all of these. Or, I don't know if I need their names actually for this.
You know, first or last.
I might want these. So enable browsing.
So no position name or name.
It still has the warning, so I'm not sure. City would be one that we would want. Hire date might be something that we want. I don't know what the hierarchies are things that you can search by. So in the way the cube works, you basically you could choose like employee as a hierarchy, as the dimension. And then you could choose, like this, we could choose city. And then the data down below here, we could say city equals Seattle, for instance. The data down here will reflect that. The hierarchy are the things within the dimension that you can search on. But I'm worried about, I don't remember this being on there, and I'm not sure why that's happening.
I think we'll survive, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do it again if it fails. I just want, the warning says avoid visible attribute hierarchies for attributes used as levels. What does that mean? I'm not sure. Define attribute relations as rigid where appropriate. How do you define them as rigid? Oh, well. Let's go on and do another couple of them and we'll see what we get. So I'm going back to the Solution Explorer. Basically, I'm going to create a new dimension for all of the tables.
So you just use existing.
Use an existing table. We've already got that. We don't need a template. So I keep doing that. Next. So we got bus and employee. Let's do, well, I guess we could do that. And I'm going to put all of these in there. And I will probably the bus schedule assignment date, the shift name, maybe the employee key on this. And again, I start getting the warning again. but we'll ignore it for now. I'm just putting things that I think I would want to search by in there.
Mhm.
All right, so the date, and we want all of these. And we would want to do by date, by week, by month, day of the week and month,
In the year too.
and the year probably more than any of the others.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
So we've done,
That's an employee and that's treasurer and business.
That's right.
so we need route.
Yeah, yeah. People.
Oh, we don't want the fact bus table, we want the route, I missed. We definitely want the route key and the zone. Okay, so is that all of them?
That's
So let's try
employees,
creating a
treasurer,
cube.
business. Okay.
So I'm going to right click on the cube. Let me pin this because I keep having to go back. I don't know if I want to pin it. It's kind of tight.
So you do new cube?
Yeah, so I'm going to do, let me move this down. Going to do new cube. And next, I'm going to use existing tables. And I want, do we actually for measure, we really only need the fact, right?
Only fact?
And then it has the dimensions. I'm just going through and looking. Okay, so this is the source of the cube. It'll have the fact table at the beginning and it'll have the dimensions around it. Looks about like what we had. Let me see. We need to process the cube. So I right clicked on the cube and we need to process it. And then it says the server content appears to be out of date. Would you like to build and deploy the project first? And we have to say yes.
I got a bunch of errors.
Did you?
Warnings. I love them.
Warnings I could see.
One of the-
So why did it fail?
Let's fix it on.
We may have chosen the
Deployment
wrong
completed
user.
successfully.
Like you did.
To local host.
That's
That's funny because mine didn't fail.
Yours didn't fail?
mine is.
Green check. Green check. Oh, no green check.
So let's look at the product.
Deploy failed. Fuck.
Let's look at the project, the server. Well, so it shouldn't go to. I didn't link it to Alt-W on localhost, did I?
No. Unless it was a default and it wouldn't change.
Let's look at the data source.
Why is it?
What? Where?
I just double clicked at the data source.
Remove past the winnings.
No, it's SQL Server.
Open? Open. It doesn't open up properties.
It probably is just down below. It's the right path, so why? The project could not be deployed to localhost server because of the following connections. Let's look under project properties.
Project.
Where'd you go to?
I went to the menu. The server is not localhost.
That's not. Properties.
You get there from projects.
I went to project properties.
Project, we don't have that.
Are you running? Did you stop?
Where is the
Up here in the menu, project properties?
No, projects, properties.
Project in
Oh.
Metro Alt.
Try it again. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, localhost those.
Yeah, this needs to be IT 226
Yes.
We're not seeing what you're saying. Oh,
under deployment.
Okay.
so should it be?
It should probably be Steve's sum on mine.
So, I don't know if mine's Steve some, I think.
Yours would be on the,
I don't use localhost when I
right, well, this isn't localhost either. It shouldn't be localhost.
ITs. Wait, oh, what
Oh,
did you
I'll
write?
bring it back. Project Metro Alt.
Wait, 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 wait.
ITC.
226 or 224?
Yeah, there's another thing to do. We'll do it in a second.
What did I call it?
Yes.
These are the kinds of things that happen a lot. I don't know why it went to localhost. That's just presumed.
No, that's fine. You're fine.
So this is under properties, under deployment.
Yeah.
Remember, we had to do this with the,
Okay. And then processing.
I guess it's way back with reports. We had to
No,
change
not-
the path.
Yeah, the queue. Sean.
It assumes things that are not necessarily
Process.
accurate. Now, this is assuming that you named your server that. So if you named it something else, go with what you named it.
Yeah, it works now.
Yeah, I think it just was headed to the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I want to, again, right-click, process the cube. So right-click on the cube, not on the data source.
Wait, on the cube, okay. And then
And then yes.
Yep.
Okay, so that worked. Still have some warnings, but that's okay. Now, on this screen, you have to go down and do run.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it done? Oh, done. See.
All right,
Jesus.
so it may have failed because we used the wrong user.
Oh.
That's why I was saying I was a little surprised it wasn't there as a user.
Mm.
So go ahead and close this. Let's go back.
Okay.
I actually think it may be the system
Oh.
because that was in there as a user, but well, let's make sure. So let's go to SQL Server configuration. What? Well, I had the management studio.
Oh.
I want configuration. SQL Server configuration.
SQL Server.
Configuration.
Yeah.
Configure.
If I do this, you don't have to.
Which
SQL,
one is
you
it?
don't have SQL Server configuration.
The orange one?
The data tools you need to run as administrator. Why is it not coming up?
SQL Server 2014
There it is.
Configuration Manager.
Yes, and you want to look at. So we want to look at analysis services, and we want to log in as,
Well, first of all, I have to spell it
yeah,
correctly.
OLAP.
What did you press on the right to get that? Analysis?
Oh, over here, I did the
Yeah.
SQL services.
Okay.
And then I did the analysis services.
And you
And
just
this is the
click
login that we need.
I don't have permission, so.
Right, that's why we're here.
So she doesn't
Now
have permission
for-
to open the mail.
Get conflict.
You should have.
I don't either.
It happened like last
For
time.
y'all.
I'm trying to get it.
Why would you not have permission? You have to say.
Mhm.
You have.
I have to send permission.
Go under SQL Services, SQL Services, and.
Are you
open
running
that.
under, did you create your own
Yeah, this
user?
one, yeah. So click up here, see the
Why
sign,
would
just
I
try
have
it out.
permission and you not?
See the sign, and drag it out. Okay, that's the one you want.
Yeah.
And then what do you want to do with this one? Start, pause, restart property?
Right, so it won't run until we get this fixed.
Let's get that.
Right, are you running this app? You are.
Yeah.
So your deployment failed, it's probably,
It's not here. What do you want?
So I should change, reaching the content.
we did change that, did you? Now yours actually should be localhost.
But at first,
We'll do the
Yeah, you did Steve some, didn't you?
yeah.
You did work as localhost?
Oh, okay.
This should be localhost. Yeah.
So she also cannot access it.
Why would that be?
SQL Server, another SQL service.
WMI provider she can't reach. So it could be unreachable or she doesn't have permissions. So I don't know, we didn't do anything right.
Well, you know, I'm not sure you have to be here anyway. All we need to do is know what user to use. That's why I'm here. So it says log on as, right? So if we go here and we did the NT, let's see if there's a login for that. So I'm going to go to the logins.
Which security are you in?
Yeah, see, well, that's not it. So we might need to add on new login.
Is that the 6-second security?
Yes, it's the one outside. Windows authentication, we're going to search. I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go to find now. Okay, so all I did is search, advanced, find now. And I'm going to see if I can find that login.
What is that
Where
called?
did you go?
New,
No.
right click,
I don't see it.
new login,
So why is it not there?
and then search. And then advanced,
Local servers.
advanced,
No.
advanced,
Oh.
and then find now.
Do we have to create a Windows account for it? I hope not.
And then we just not allowed.
I'm going to try one thing. So we have, I'm going to try into authority system real quickly.
It's a service.
You can try this or not. I don't know that it will work. This is the other account we could have used in the install, but if this works, then I'll go through it again. So let's see. Oh. So it wants that user. So actually, let's just go back here. I right-clicked on that and went to computer management. I will help with this if you need. Services. Local users and groups. Users. Do I need to create a user for this? That's not showing me all the their groups too. I wonder if it should be a user or a group. It looks like it should be a member of NT service. Is that how I read that? NT authority, authenticated users, test users. Cancel. Look at that. So does anybody know Active Directory? Let's create a new user.
I can't get to that screen.
So,
To this screen?
Yeah.
So you have to right click on the Windows button, do computer management. This is one of the most dangerous screens in Windows, actually.
you go to computer management.
You- So
Click and
right click on the Windows
oh,
button.
Right click on, so we can close everything else.
Well, no, I wouldn't necessarily close everything else. And I'm going to go to computer management.
Okay, computer management, okay.
And then if you go to users and groups,
No, it's your. Okay.
you should have.
We have other adjustments.
I asked my,
To see if
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but,
You gotta have a way to add users.
Okay.
So what I don't understand for sure is whether this means that it is a sub-user of NT service.
Advanced management tools are only available in Windows 8 Pro version.
You can get there still.
Oh, we
Well, you got,
I have 8.1, but it might not be Pro.
you still should be able to manage these. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how to add this person. NT service. It looks like it's all under NT service. Which should be what we gave it, actually. NT authority, local service, NT. I wonder, actually, let's look at something. What do we have here? We have NT service.
And we didn't have local service yet.
I want, actually, let's look under, again, I'm going to look under advanced.
Where did you go?
No greens? No.
Well, I wonder if I even have to do this, actually. So I'm going to try. We have NT authority local assistant. Let's try NT service. New user, Windows user. Okay, so we want NT service, check names. All right, didn't find it, so let's do advanced. Find now. What?
It's the local, yeah.
I don't want local, I want just service.
So, okay.
That's NT authority service. I wonder if I want. I was looking for NT service, but maybe that's what we want.
Network service.
Might be.
No, and the authority network service.
Yeah, so I guess it's just NT authority service.
So that's okay.
So let's try service. I was just trying to figure out where that thing is because it seems to be a sub-member of a group.
The users are always the same.
So we want NT service, I thought. So we've got NT services, but we don't have one that has.
Oh, so it is this.
It's weird. It's weird that I didn't have this trouble.
Local service.
We've got system. I didn't have this problem when, I wonder,
Yeah.
One last thing I want to see. Account name. Built-in account. Service, start mode, advanced. Log on. We could probably change the service, except some of you can't get into this window.
Can you show me how to get there?
Wait, I got to that one.
Yeah, I think you can get to this one. We could probably change the service. So this is, you all should be able to get into it, but I know there's some of you couldn't. So if you just in here, you could do SQL server config. Yeah, we could change it to SQL Server Configuration Manager. And I do not know why you would have permission issues with that.
I don't know which object you selected. Help us.
It's different than other people. I'm losing.
The other place you could do this, although I'm not sure you can change the login there, is the same thing here. If you go to the computer management and you go to services, there are SQL Server configurations. And if I do SQL services here, and there's also SQL Server connection failed here too. Why would it fail? That is so weird.
Yeah, the same message.
I'm looking for the analysis. There it is. See, I can get exactly the same thing there, but you can't get there either.
It's the same like last time we tried to get to this one.
So how many have problem can't get there? 1, 2, 3, 4. We could have put a kibosh on getting this done. I don't know why you would have the error. What did you guys do that's any different than what I've done over there?
I had that error when we were doing
Is it something in the install that was different, I wonder? Let me see if I can change this and then at least demo it, and then we can come back. So what I want to do is see if I can change the account name. And let's see if I can change it to local service. I was going to do invalid parameter. Did yours work with local service?
I haven't done any episode to arrange with the password.
I suppose it could. Let's add a password and see.
Check manual.
I'm just going to do P at SSW0RD1. P at SSW0RD1.
Wait, hold on.
So you go check, envelope for me.
Okay, and then apply.
Yeah.
So should I restart it? This will cause the service to be restarted.
Right. You don't have a choice in that. So if you do it, it'll restart.
So you use the user group, right? First?
So yeah, I changed it. All right. So in the analysis service, properties, and I changed it to the local service. And I gave it the password that we've been using for everything.
Oh, okay, so local services.
No guarantees that this will work.
Oh.
So
What did you change for the password?
I just did P at SSW0RD1.
No, I mean like
No.
I'm stuck. So restart or what?
It's going to restart. It tells you it's going to restart. Okay. So
Process.
yeah. So if we can find a way for you guys to change your user.
So first you pick logo. First you pick logo. Quick question. I couldn't get it. So logo you pick for the build is not right. And you pick logo server.
No.
What did you do, guys?
So what is
Oh,
your
browse.
connection
Okay.
cannot be made?
Service.
So let's go to properties up here.
Oh, password. Yeah. And then you do okay.
Okay.
Is that what you named your database?
No.
Yeah, no, that means it's working.
And then you're gonna do this to be running.
They just say process again. Okay, so then go here, right click on the key, and say process.
Yours was VA.
Say run.
Run.
Right, but I
Thank
think
you.
we want the actual database. Is that, let me look at that. So it did work at that point. But let me look at something real quick. Oh yeah, so that should be okay. I'm not sure why localhost is not working for you. Does it give a permission? Can't connect to localhost. One of the things when you deploy this, it's possible that we didn't install this. Right. A couple of things. Let me show you one thing when you deploy this. and it has to be deployed. This is something that we did when we did the install. One of the reasons why we had to install I'm there already. Why we had to install a new copy, even if we didn't. The original copy didn't have the analysis services, and I don't want that. I want dash zoom. See.
Should have a drop down.
I don't know. Might be. So there's an analysis services database, and notice that it has a Metro Alt DW DB in there. If you don't have the analysis services, and the original install did not have them, that's why we needed to do the other install, then this won't run either. But if you did, you guys did the other install, so you should have them. So when I link to this, what I did, let me close analysis services, connect to analysis services.
Oh,
It's a different database engine. Do I have any what? No.
And you have to type in your please, Steve. ITC.
I did. I just typed Steve Zoom ITC22. It's the same their server name, but it's a different, actually different server. This is the OLAP server as opposed to the on-time transaction server. And notice that it's got all those folders that are in the other one. And if we look, we see our data source view, our cube, and our dimensions. So it actually processes it on the server, although we're creating it in the. So, like yours probably won't work unless we do a new install. I have no idea why you guys can't get to the thing to change the user. Did you run your SSIS? You did, and it still is empty? All right, let me look at the back here. Having processed it all, you can go to the browser. Okay, and this is where it gets into be kind of a pivot table. So you have, and it also would help if I had a much bigger screen. But you have all of your measure groups and your, your DIMs over here. And you also can do things like KPIs. Anybody know what those stand for? Key performance indicators, yeah. So what they basically have, you can put in little graphs that show how, like a speedometer to show how you're going, or ups or downs, little icons in there to show whether your performance is improving or failing, declining, things like that. You can assign them here. Now, there's all sorts of things you can do along here that I don't think we will for right now, particularly since half the class can't get here. You can set up calculated fields that are different than the calculations you've done already. You can add the KPIs. You can say at what value the ranges do you put in different indicators. You can build and edit actions for the cube, which I'm a little bit, and then partitions and aggregations and perspectives. And a lot of this I have only vague ideas of what they do. But, so let's select a dimension. So let's select date. And in the date, we should have a hierarchy. And I want to be able to see my hierarchy. So let's do year. The operator will be equal, and in the filter expression, it'll show a list of all the years, and there's only 3 years. So I will do 213.
No, it's all right.
So what I did is I did dimension date. In the hierarchy, I chose year. It had all the other things. I did it was equal, so it's equal to the year 2013. Then if I look at my measures, I could do, let's do the number of writers, and we could widen that out, and the number of the total fare we could do too. Now, they're not the most readable numbers, but say I wanted to limit this more, because that's supposedly what we earned in a year. Yeah, I think it's possible. So I'm going to select another dimension. I'm going to select route, and I'm going to select the zone, and I'll make it equal. And then in the zone, we have basically the cities over here. So let's just do Kent. And these numbers shrink quite a bit, right? Because it's only one city for that 1 year. And you can go through and you can do this kind of, you can add dimensions and analysis and do this. This isn't the full power of the cube because you can do all sorts of statistical things you can apply to it too, except that our cube isn't very rich. The data isn't, the measurables aren't very rich. Does that make sense? And you have all these other dimensions that you could use. I don't know if it limits it. If I did dim route, bus route key equals, I don't know if it'll limit me to the ones from Kent. I don't think it does. I don't know which ones are the Kent routes. I think if I did all, it would, but that would just be where we are now. If we did just one route in Kent, it should limit it to just what was earned. Doesn't find any data. Did you find a route that was in Kent?
Kent is 2.
2 is in Kent?
26 and
Let's just do 2.
26.
So that this should be just the fare earned by that one route in that 1 year in Kent. So you can see it's kind of a, yeah, I mean, you could do all sorts of kind of just playing with the numbers to see what you get. And this again is just the beginning. There's all sorts of refinements and extensions you can add on to this. Now, if we could figure out how to make your guys's, so you could change the user or add that user that it has. I'm a little unsure how to add it because that user is, I think it's the default user, and I don't think we changed. I do think it has to do with the install when we did it, because I didn't have to do that at home or in my office. I think, although we're early, we might let this go because I figure after troubles, if you guys can't get it, we'll let it go. You know, you can just, if you can get to a screen like this in the screenshot. The other thing that would be fun to do, but I'm going to let you guys do it kind of on your own, is to look at the calculations. So, and as I said, I hope I can get some of the other people there. So, I mean, you can create calculations. And that book that I showed you has chapters on how to do each of these.
Oh.
The KPIs, these are measurements that you can apply, different kinds of measure, and you can get different icons from this. I'm not entirely sure how to do it. Actions, I'm not sure what actions are, so I'd have to read on that. Partitions, I think if you bring it in, we could add other partitions, which would make a more complex grid, more dimensions. I think we'd need more fact tables to do that. So if you had 2 or 3 fact tables, you could add them in here. You could have different partitions for them. And I think they can interplay to some extent. Aggregation you might want to do because by default it sums everything. If you want counts, if you want other things, you can create your own aggregations. I'm not sure what perspectives do. And I'm not sure what these do. The browser is that. Mining structures, I'm not sure I want to go into them too deep, but I just want to show you. You have some different built-in statistical functions. There's a Microsoft decision tree, Microsoft association rules, clustering, decision trees, linear regression. I don't know why they're all Microsoft. Logistic regression, naive Bayes, neural network, sequence clustering, timed series. I mean, you can do all sorts of, these are built-in statistical models that you can apply to the data. Again, our data isn't very rich, and I don't think we get very good results. But I may look at the book and see what, if we can apply some of these and see what happens. Roles, I think, is just giving permissions on some of these. Assemblies, I believe, is when you bring in code from C# and stuff that you write to further manipulate stuff. And miscellaneous is just miscellaneous. The thing is, this is a fairly rich structure of which I am mostly ignorant, which is the problem. Yeah.
So each time you want to use this, you just have to do the SSIS and then it automatically.
Right. So you can, you know how it said that you see it be out of date? So you'd have to reprocess it each time too. But basically the SSIS would just, particularly if we deployed it, it would just run periodically, however often you wanted it to. And then so it would have the current data. But at the cube, when you tried to come to the browser and say, you're out of date, do you want to reprocess? And it will do that. And then the actual structure is stored here. We could even have, we didn't, but we could even have built our data warehouse here if we'd wanted to on this server. I've seen some books do it and some don't, where they build the actual data warehouse on the analysis server. Okay. So we've got this week and next. So I will see if there's more we can do with this. Is there other stuff you want to cover over here too? I mean, I will come around and see if I can help you guys with this too. But yeah.
So what was the username?
I used local service, NT local service.
Okay, mine says NT service.
Right, so I changed the user because that user doesn't seem to be in our
Where do
system.
I change that user again?
In the config?
Oh,
In here.
Yeah, so in the analysis services properties.
Let's see.
We have local service, it should work. So why is it not working?
The pictures of the cloud drive or something.
Do I have to shut it down? Or?
No, you shouldn't have to. I will come up with some other stuff to do if you guys don't. I won't make them hold them to you as assignments. I figure it's unfair to add assignments not in the syllabus. But there are other things we could look at.
And we have to process each time, right?
You have to process if you make changes. You don't have to process if if they're still current. So I will look at maybe like adding some KPs and stuff, KPIs, and I will also see what else we might
So
want to
it's
do.
not changing my user on the first error I get is that the login was failed. And it's not the,
Do you have that local service added to the database itself? And they have to have read privileges.
NT authority.
Should be like local service, NT Authority local service. And do they have read?
Data reader.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give them all permissions. I don't care.
I'm going to save this. And as I said, I may come back to it. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll come help the people that aren't there yet.
But it's still not changing to that user in Visual Studio.